20 minutes before the top of the hour. Let's change gears. President Trump putting Iran on notice as new reports reveal the Pentagon's plans to deploy more aircraft carriers to the Middle East, at least one. The president affirming his support for our strongest ally in the region, Israel, in a meeting with the prime minister yesterday, Netanyahu, where both agreed diplomacy will start, with Tehran remaining uncertain as the U.S. resumes talks with Iran next week. We don't know the details yet. Former Ambassador at Large and Counterterrorist Coordinator Nathan Sales joins us now. He served at the State Department during President Trump's first term. Nathan, I sense that yesterday's talks were not only about him joining the Board of Peace, Israel, but it was specific about what their assets were, maybe in Iran, what the protection was, and what a conflict would look like. What do you think?
I think that's right, Brian. I think we saw maybe a little bit of daylight reading between the lines between the prime minister and the president. It seemed like Prime Minister Netanyahu was here to press President Trump. Now's the time. Let's take military action against the regime while it is weak. But I think President Trump is prepared to let diplomacy play out for a little bit here to see if there's a possible negotiated outcome. Time will tell. I think watch and see how Iran responds to the olive branch that President Trump has offered. In the past, they haven't seized the opportunity to pursue peace. They've doubled down on their demands and on regime preservation. So we'll give diplomacy a chance, it seems, but I'm not that optimistic that Iran is actually going to play ball here.
So their president, they had their anniversary of that horrific revolution led by Khomeini in 1979 yesterday, at which time the current president of the country, ceremonial position in many respects, said they were ashamed before the people about the crackdown, were obliged to serve all those we harmed in this process. They killed between 5,000 and 30,000, depending on what report you believe. And now, do you really believe they feel ashamed about killing their own people, including chasing down would-be protesters in their hospital beds?
Yeah, these are crocodile tears, to be sure. The regime has no remorse whatsoever. To the extent that they feel the need to mourn in public, it's only because of their well-honed instinct for self-preservation. But this is a really important point. President Trump drew a red line. He was very clear with the mullahs, do not kill protesters or you will pay a price. And the world will watch to see if President Trump enforces that red line. Let's not forget, Barack Obama never recovered after he drew a red line on chemical weapons use in Syria. The world never had confidence in him again, and I don't think President Trump wants to repeat that same mistake here.
Here's what Israel said after the meeting. What Israel wants from the Iran negotiations: dismantle Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities. By the way, it's not going to happen. Limit on Iran's missile program. That's not going to happen. End of Iranian support for regional militias. That'll never happen.
Yeah, I try to agree with this anchorman. What Israel want against the Iranians is not going to, that's the Middle Eastern stuff. You got to be very cautious. Dismantling Iran nuclear enrichment facilities, they might do a few, but the total dismantling of their whole institution when they're trying to become a power themselves, that's not going to happen. I don't believe it. Why? Why would you go this far without protecting yourself? We already bombed a certain area plant. They're going to give everything? No, they're not. No, they're not. When they're trying to become a world power, just like Iran. Just like Israel. So limit on Iran's missile program. Now you're going to cut down on my missile enforcement, just like the amount you have? No, I'm not allowing that. They're not going to do that. Well, what's the purpose of being a nation if you're going to have total domination of another nation right next to you that's tinier than you? And the Iranian support for regional militias. Oh, you're going to take my friends away, my associates, my counterterrorism, basically their CIA and their militias and all them groups that work under their hand. You want to take that from us? No, they're not going to go. So a lot of this stuff is it's totally totally terminate. I don't think no nation on planet Earth in this era, in this modern day era, will allow a nation to dominate them so clearly and efficiently that they'll take that. They'd rather not be a nation. They'd rather die as a nation than not be a nation. And so that's why I believe we might be going to war. And we're positioning ourselves because Israel want all these total 100% deficit from the Iranian people and the Iranian government, and I don't think the Iranians would allow that. And I think Israel is standing tall on this order of what they require if not going to war. So this is the only way we're not going to do it. We're going to go to war. And I'm thinking Netanyahu is like saying, hey, if you don't do it, we got to dominate because we're over here in the Middle West and we know their nature. So we that's our ally, and we in support of them. But I think the president, the chief, the commander in chief, is not really. He like diplomacy when he get to this level and try to force, but not at this point. You could have some. All right, we might have to get rid of dismantle Iranian nuclear enrichment facility. Yeah, let's get rid of that. And they don't want that at all. But if they can keep their missiles program and their little malicious groups, they might be more lenient. But I think the Israel president Netanyahu, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm American. He wants this totally, and as the anchor here saying, I don't think Iran would go for that. Let's. What's your opinion? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think.
They even had a meeting with Hamas officials yesterday. So it makes me feel as though the president wants that other aircraft carrier in place, but knowing that he follows through on almost everything that he says, I think a conflict's inevitable. And if that is indeed the case, what do you target? Is there anybody you can deal with in Iran that might be somewhat rational, like we were dealing with now in the rehab process in Venezuela?
That's a great question. Let me take that last part first. The Israelis have so thoroughly penetrated the Iranian regime and their security services and their military services. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if we had some good leads on elements within the Iranian regime who are prepared to play ball in a post-regime scenario. As far as the military option, what do you target? I think a couple of things. You've got to go in first, take out the air defenses so that you have air superiority and can operate. We did that last summer. It's easy to do. The Iranians were naked and exposed. And then you use that opportunity to take out their ballistic missile capabilities, because that's what they will use to hold American assets in the region and our Israeli allies at risk. Destroy their ability to retaliate, take out their air defenses, and then you've got the ability to take out strategic targets, whether that's the instruments of repression, the Basij militia, the IRGC, or if you want to be more ambitious and make a play for regime change, you can take out regime leadership. The president's going to have a lot of options, and we'll see what he does.
And for the people like Elbridge Colby who say at the Pentagon, we got to focus on China. You can't focus on China as long as Iran is operating in the Middle East. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Nathan Sales, thank you. Straight ahead.
Thanks, Brian.
You got it. From Somali daycares to bogus Medicare claims, today Minnesota leaders will be grilled on the billions of dollars in alleged fraud. Jonathan Turley on what we can expect to hear.
Seems crazy, guys. Let's continue on with another. What do you think? Are we going to war? What do you think? What is your take as American, as anyone that's online here and watching my video? What's your opinion? What do you think? Yes, we're going to war. Without doubt. I don't
need to create more video.
I don't know, but I believe we are going to war. That's my opinion. I don't think they're going to go for all that.
Netanyahu yesterday, where they discussed U.S. negotiations with Iran. Afterwards, President Trump wrote, writing on Truth Social, "I have just finished meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel. I insisted that negotiations with Iran continue to see whether or not a deal can be consummated." This as the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the Pentagon is preparing a second aircraft carrier to deploy to the Middle East. Former NSC Chief of Staff under President Trump, Alex Gray, joins me now. Alex, thank you for joining us. It's good to see you. So President Trump's 1A is to make a nuclear negotiation with Iran. And yesterday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's goal was going to the White House and getting President Trump to expand those talks to include ballistic missiles and, of course, ending support for Hamas and Hezbollah. So the two allies met yesterday. What happens next?
See, that's what I said earlier in the first section of the video, of the news that I'm reacting to, this reaction video. Uh, the president wants to negotiate more. The Israeli president, Netanyahu, he wants to just obliterate their any power. He said that while they're weak, let's dominate them and take all of their institutional military might away from them. And the president's like, well, we don't want to, no country, he's more reasonable. No nation, sovereign nation is going to just with the military is going to allow that. That's billions of dollars that they got invested. And that's going to we anybody can invade Iran now. Any besides Palestine can invade Iran. I don't know where the countries at. I'm looking at the map, but other nations can invade. Iraq can invade Iran now. They don't want to be the weak, so the president is like, let's negotiate. Let's use diplomacy. And the president of Israel is like, no, let's totally dominate them and force them to do as we will. And he knows Iran is not going to go for that. The U.S. president and Israel president doesn't care. He wants to add on, as she said, all of these other incentives for him to be the dominating power in the region. And I don't think Iran would go for it, so we'd be forced to go to war. And now we have millions of tens of thousands of American soldiers over there in support of you. And are you gonna put tens of millions, a million of your people over there and fight? So let diplomacy, military diplomacy reign, and see what we can get. And I think that's the divide right now. So we'll see. But the Israeli president, he wants to attack. He knows they're not going to go for that, so he's just trying to push the war, in my opinion. What is your opinion? Leave it comment down below.
Well, good to see you, Carly. I think what we're seeing here is the 180-degree difference from Biden to Trump, right? When Biden was negotiating with Iran, he negotiated from a position of literally zero American leverage. He actually started negotiating around the time we had done the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, and American prestige was at its very lowest. President Trump is talking about sending potentially a second aircraft carrier strike group to give us maximum leverage. When the Iranians sit across the table from his envoys, they know that President Trump is going to have an extraordinary amount of American power that he can bring to bear if the Iranians play games with us, as they usually do. I think that gives us a huge amount of leverage and momentum in these discussions. Again, the Iranians do this all the time. They love to string us along, but the president is positioning us in a very effective way to have maximum leverage here.
Yeah, I should always say it's the carrot and the stick approach. He posted something on Truth Social, says he wants to talk, while also simultaneously preparing a second aircraft carrier strike group to head towards Iran. And allow me to present this quote to you from Scott Bessent. He said, "We have seen the Iranian leadership wiring money out of the country like crazy." He goes on to say, "The rats are leaving the ship. That is a good sign that they know the end may be near."
And that's what I was trying to say. Like all these special anchor guests, they're saying the same thing that's in the Middle East, that deal in Middle East diplomacy, they're dealing with the political issues and the military issues over there, and understand how the Iranian nation, the national sovereignties of nations, how they nation to nation, and how the political process goes. And they say they're telling you the same thing, that the Iranians like to play string, especially us now, string us along under the Biden, how they just did Biden dirty, and how they played games with Biden, and how they're trying to do it with Trump. And Trump is not going for it. And now we're saying they're pumping money out of the nation, as I said previously, and by investing he's saying that that's the financial guru guy. He's saying that the money is being sent out of the nation, out of the Iranian nation to other nations, and so that means they're digging their heels in while they're playing games with us, trying to say no, we're not. We want to negotiate, but actually, I'm trying to backdoor you. I'm trying to get myself positioned out and be safe door, and I can get out. And then we just let you guys military fight with Iran, and to tell them we're not giving up, we're not but you're way out in the nation to another country, got your money out, got everything out, you're safe and your family's safe, but the nation is under torment. And Trump sees this, and they're seeing the money because they can look at the money from different resources and different investigative tools they can use, and they're seeing what they're doing. So they're talking on one hand like they want to negotiate, but they're backdooring too. So would you just claim us to go to war with them and just get it on, or would you still negotiate? What is your opinion? Comment down below.
Do you believe that to be true?
I think the secretary makes a very good point, and we see this frequently before regimes start to collapse. We saw it in Venezuela with Maduro's henchmen attempting to flee the country. We see it right before these big seismic leadership changes. And so I think it's a good sign that President Trump is on the right track. He is exerting leverage. As you said, Carly, carrot and stick. Always operate from a position of unassailable American strength. And the more military hardware we have pre-positioned in the region, the more the president's words are going to resonate with the regime, and all those rats scurrying off the ship, they can read the writing on the wall.
And the military goal could be to do just enough to weaken the regime and inspire protesters to overturn it themselves, have this come from within. So militarily, how do you see that goal being accomplished?
Well, it's possible. It's going to be very challenging. The regime has 50 years of oppression skills. I mean, it is incredibly skilled at the art of repressing its own people. What I think the president should be focused on, and likely is very focused on, is maintaining American credibility. We cannot have a situation like the Obama red line in Syria, which I don't think President Trump would ever allow American credibility to be questioned that way. But we have to show that when he said that help was on the way, we have to show that America means what it says and it says what it means. I don't think anyone questions that with President Trump, but we have to make sure at all times, for reasons that go from the Taiwan Strait to Eastern Europe to our own hemisphere, that when the American president speaks, he always means what he says.
Certainly true. Talks are ongoing, and we will see if they remain discussions or if action is taken. Former NSC Chief of Staff under President Trump, Alex Gray, we thank you for your time.
Yeah, it's official, guys. In my surmise, we will be going to war. And from what this gentleman just said, the secretary stated under the first Trump administration, he sees that we're going to war, and there's no outcome without some type of war that takes place. Like I said, the rats are leaving the ship. They're bailing, taking their money, and they get prepared. They're prepared for whatever happens, because they're gonna really find out and say, no, we're not doing that. And then, up jumps the weasel. So we'll see what's happening over there. What's your opinion? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, and we'll move on from here.